Prepare for a fusion of knowledge and exhilaration where education and excitement collide.
Taking you on an adventure that expands your mind and speaks to your spirit.
I'm Master Nick.
I'm Lady Dee.
We are the Dom Life.
This podcast contains sexually explicit topics and adult content.
It is intended for listeners 18 and older.
The opinions expressed in this podcast are ours alone, based on our personal thoughts, feelings, and experiences.
We understand that others may have different opinions and experiences, and we respect that. We would love to hear from you. You can reach out to us at www.thedomlife.com. All right, welcome back, everybody. And as promised from last week,
or 5 minutes ago,
we was going to talk about the AFK Self-Tying Summit classes.
We will really do it this time.
And we got a little diverted, but it was very interesting. It was what we needed to learn more about Lilith and Mika.
I don't know that we learned enough.
Oh, you will never learn enough about these two. But I think our listeners now kind of have a pretty good idea of the mentality, the mindset, the personality, the persona that they put off. Again, which I love, absolutely enjoy every minute, spending time with them, Club Tempted, AFK, LNK, wherever. They are always a blast. They are always a hoot.
Are you sure?
I have one.
Even if I get your sub in trouble.
I love when you get my sub in trouble. Because, as she has said before, she is a good girl. And she hardly ever does anything to sass or brag. The only time she sasses.
Listen to them.
The only time she really sasses is when I'm not doing a good enough job as a dom, and she will kind of poke the bear.
See, it's always on them. It's never on us. We can never get in trouble for anything
because we didn't.
We're
do
their
it.
responsibility.
It
is their fault.
But
Everything
when
is their
she
fault.
is around you, she has a little bit more spunk to her sass.
Because I have opinions like this,
and very freely spreads them.
So I do enjoy it from time to time. So it's all good.
I've got one question that we didn't hit at all during the last episode, and so I want to kind of take a step back and do this one question for each of you.
I have a feeling I know exactly where this is going.
Listen, it's okay. Go back to sleep. Take another nap. We all have ADHD. It's fine.
I heard you mention that you guys had very different upbringings. And of course, being in college at 16, being on your own versus you said it was different. I didn't get yours.
I still talk to your mom all the time.
Yeah, and my dad. I do not have daddy issues.
I actually had a very, I don't know, I felt very like shocked or abrupt when receiving the information that Lilith was not like hit or spanked or abused as a child. I thought this was a common experience, especially growing up. But I guess she grew up Catholic, and I grew up
Catholic and got my butt.
Yeah, well, I grew up like fundamentalist, conservative Christian.
I wasn't Catholic. My dad really didn't care about any religions. He just put me in religious schools.
Where you became a bully.
No, that was once I was in public schools. Because you go from Catholic and religious schools,
very abrupt.
And then you're into a public school starting in 8th grade, which is all the way through junior high. Mm-hmm. Like your last year, I was teased mercilessly 8th grade. Freshman year, I walked into school and I beat up the biggest bully in the school. That was my first thing I did.
And then you were the biggest bully.
Only bullied. I did not. Well, I was not a bully except for people who were mean to other people.
Self-defense.
And it was usually
vigilante. I see nothing wrong with this.
I was really, and it was always, I would look at them and go, you really don't want to do this. I mean, I rarely got suspended because I tried everything I could not to fight. I'd look at them and go, you don't want to do this. But they did. Yeah. And then they didn't afterwards. And it's like, I've literally had hall monitors not. So My upbringing was different too.
Switch subject real quick.
Yes.
Turn it back on you all.
So
so
you guys, you had
Your upbringing.
I'm normal-ish. I didn't have any like physical abuse as a child. I would say all my trauma was situational. Like things happened around my family.
okay.
And like that brought on stuff for me. I always say I don't have daddy issues. I have granddaddy issues.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we can't go more into that because it'll
Right. So
but,
I guess
yes.
that the reason I'm asking is like, when did you figure out you were kinky? When in your head were you kinky?
It was super late in life, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. So I carried that Catholic guilt with me for a very long time. It was very heavy on my mind. I didn't start masturbating till I was like in my 20s. And like, I would still have that Catholic guilt in the back of my head and be like, oh, this is sin, hell type shit. But once I started masturbating, I feel like that kind of took some of that Catholic guilt away. Then I figured out how to make myself squirt.
It's not hard.
Of course, it's gonna go there.
It's not hard.
And
We
then-
keep lily pads on deck.
Lily pads.
Yep, and I think that's why I can squirt so much, because when I was masturbating, I hyperfixated on making myself squirt, and then
I never wanted to squirt. He broke me.
Good.
Yes,
Broken.
I did. Yes,
Like
did.
I
I
never
feel very
squirted.
bro with you now.
Leaks like a water faucet. It just drip, 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 drip.
Stop that. Damn it. Okay.
I need a water drip
So
sound.
that took you.
a while, and then I went into a relationship. The old swingers club in Louisville is my first experience, like within the swinger club, BGS,
Mm-hmm.
and then that shut down, and I was like, I feel like I still had that swinger mentality, like very open still, all that, and then Tempted open, and I was reintroduced to, well, I met Dante before he was kinky, and we started hanging out there. And
How
then-
could there be a time
I know.
before
It was-
Dante being kinky?
I know, it's crazy. It was when Club Tempted opened.
Quit touching that.
Sorry. It was when
Click, 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 click. I'm just saying.
my hands will stay here. It was when Club Tempted opened, and I met Dante before all that, and just started getting back into the swinger lifestyle.
Okay.
And then
And didn't you have a threesome with him and his former girlfriend before they were kinky, before he was kinky?
Mm-hmm,
It was a whole thing.
that was my first strap-on experience.
And she still hasn't strapped me. I go to sleep I cry myself to sleep every
God, no,
night
you
because
do
he
not.
still hasn't
No,
strapped me.
you do not. I lie asleep next to you part of the week. But Tempted is where I met the kinky people, and then I had a taste of it before I went to this quote-unquote kinky relationship that ended up being monogamous. And then once I got out, I knew, I was like, I want to do this. And then since then, I've really had a lot of growth in the short amount of time I've been kinky.
Right. Right. So your experience was younger,
Drastically different.
drastically
I was
different.
16. I should not have been doing the things that I was doing. But I grew up in a very abusive and unsafe household,
Okay.
both physically, but then also emotionally and mentally. So I got
I think
into
mentally
kink.
is way worse than the
Yes.
physical, because the
Yeah.
physical you heal, but the mental, how do you break those scars that are inside your brain? Not
Yep.
physically, you'll heal.
Right. And Lilith says that she has no daddy issues, and I got into kink through Little Space with DDLG dynamics. So I was looking for that mental and emotional safe space where I never really got to be a child or a kid, because it was traumatic from day one, and I never really got to be there, and I dissociated through a lot of my childhood, and I don't remember a lot of it.
Me neither. It's crazy.
Yes.
The minimal amount of
Yes.
memories I have from before 12. I have
So
little memories.
It's crazy. Like, we had went through different trauma, but I'm the same way. Like, literally, people will be talking to me. I'm like, that didn't happen. They're like, there's 5 other
Yeah.
witnesses. And I'm like, okay, maybe it did, but I
Must
don't
have,
remember.
Yeah, blocked it out or dissociated through it. Yeah. So I very much got into this world of kink through that, and through looking for an outlet and a safe space mentally and emotionally. And that there are a lot of things that I've grown in as far as kink and expanding my interests, and that core part of who I am has never changed.
I think I have a bit of that too. And I think I'm very lucky that Master Nick is my safe space. And I feel like he's my safe space in everything. Like we were talking about going to an event, and once I've worn out my energy, my ability to laugh, whatever, I just go stand next to him, and he gives me that back, like that energy, like I've got you, just stay right here.
And Lilith knows by looking at my face when I am done and ready to go.
And that's why it's a relationship and not a friendship. Like that's
we're like each other's security blankets at events. Like,
and she's even told me, you can have other friends and you can date other people, but I will always be your security blanket. Don't replace me.
yeah, that would not be allowed.
No, hard limit, red.
All right. I just kind of wanted to touch about history because it's like we've all grown up differently. We've all had different issues in our lives or no issues. Some people have just decided,
How do people get into kink without it being a trauma response? I will never know.
Like, I think when I look at kink now and wanting that dom sub dynamic, I was in a really abusive relationship for like 2 years. And now when I look at being like a submissive, I really truly want somebody that I can just like fully let go with, and I know that I'm safe.
Well, I didn't laugh. I did not have laughing orgasms 10 years ago. Right? Because could you imagine as a 20-something-year-old, like every time you had an orgasm, you just started laughing with a vanilla person? I mean, they would be like,
They'd be running.
there might be something wrong, which is, again, another reason why I never squirted. These are things that you have to trust somebody you're with until they break you.
And it's very different participating in kink when you're not in a dynamic and you don't have a power exchange with somebody versus when you do. So I've been very active in the kink scene, since 2016, but locally and with doms that are also active in the scene for years now here in Louisville. And I've done plenty of rope and impact, and I've gotten a little floaty here and there, but I had not experienced subspace the way that I did until I am now vetting somebody for a dynamic. And he's newer, so we were doing impact at the club, and it was after you guys left last weekend. And he came over to check on me and be like, this and that, do you have notes? Out of 10, how hard did it hurt? This, and I just like opened my eyes like halfway. I kind of felt like I was hot, and I know what it feels like because I've experienced it in the past, but I've been very guarded and careful about vetting. And this is the first person that I've trusted to truly take care of my heart and my mind and be careful with me and, my body, my mind, my soul. And I think it clicked for him. No more questions. I think he realized
it's adorable.
Head empty. Don't ask
So
me
it's
anything.
a 10 on that. It's a 10 on that. It's a 10 on that. Those are the easy answers right there.
I just had it. It's very different interacting when you're in a dynamic or when you're in a power exchange with somebody that you feel safe with and that you trust versus when you're just participating in kink and doing scenes with your friends, with people because it's still participating in kink. It's still very kinky, but
the subspace or the way you give up.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So now we're going to talk about the AFK 3 days.
So now we're coming from submissive stories, part 3 and 4.
And 5 and 6.
Into the AFK Self-Time Summit.
This is what everybody's been waiting for. No, they don't, because we're going to title it different. So nobody will know.
Nobody will ever know.
Ever know.
Because it's never our fault.
It's never. I'm going to get into so much trouble with that mentality. Like
you took a nap. You were not guiding us.
Exactly.
So we guided ourselves.
I just kind of let y'all have your little day, your little subby day.
So we discussed the performances on our episode 76. That's when we did. So now we're going to talk about the classes that we attended. This is my second. So I went to the boot camp at Kinktasia, and that's how long it's been since I've been able to attend a class.
Last year.
Yeah.
2024 Kinktasia, yes.
Almost a complete year ago.
So I bought the rope and we've had interviews, but being able to give myself time to do these things are really hard because we were building a podcast and we did a lot of demos last year.
Oh, yeah.
So because of that, just trying to get our name out there and do the things. So finally, yay, you guys, who was it? Lilith, you sent it to me?
Yes.
right
Yeah, I
before,
did,
and you
yes.
said, hey, this 3-day summit, which I had seen but kind of ignored, and I was like, oh no, I want to go.
What is that? Yeah.
So once I started looking and asking questions, I'm like, okay, we're going to go. But I already had a podcast set up for Sunday, so I wasn't able to attend any of the Sunday. When we talked about each of the people that did the performances, they were also instructors, which was amazing because you got to see them perform, but you also got to see them do how they believe and what they think. The only person I think that did a class that didn't actually perform was Captain Leviathan.
Correct.
Yes.
That's the
They
only
was the instructor, but they was not a performer.
right. And they did one of the basic knots, like explanation of like, let's get back into it for people who
So
haven't
how was
done it.
that for you? Because you were in that class, right? Was that a good refresher after taking the boot camp with Kingtasia?
Refresher. I mean, it was like we were starting at ground zero. When you do not tie for a year after, I mean, for a while I would have the rope on my couch and I would tie like my leg just to do the tie, but then it drops off if you don't expand on it, learn more. And no matter how much I loved doing it, you have to dedicate time. So it was ground one. So you guys didn't even show up in the morning because it was very hot in the venue. It was one of the hottest weeks that we had. It was like the heat index was
crazy.
over 100 every day. And we ended up going in the morning, but these are things, it was kind of refresher stuff, which wouldn't be necessary for you guys.
Yeah, we looked at the descriptions and we both picked out the classes that we wanted to go to.
And when I first got into rope, I refused to top and I refused to tie. I was like, I'm a bottom and I'm a sub and I will not be tying anything. But I was concerned about safety and I wanted to know enough to be able to vet riggers. So I took like 6 rope 101s. I had been to so many and I never progressed past it because I didn't want to tie. And I didn't even realize that self-tying was much of a thing. And I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if I want to do it. I would really rather just bottom for it. But I took like 6 rope 101s between going to them or bringing a friend to them. So that definitely, I felt that I didn't need to take the intro classes.
Right.
Well, I mean, you all already do harnesses and you do all that.
Yeah.
I mean, not just for self-tying or for suspension, but you do it for art and beauty and just for people to wear. So, I mean, those classes would have been a bore to you all. You all have been done with your harness before the instructor got halfway through with theirs, because.
Yeah, and the classes were so necessary, but I really was glad that they gave you the option to pick and choose what you wanted to go to.
Right.
What was applicable
Depending
for you
on
and
your
stage.
level, where you're at.
Right.
Exactly.
Because even if I had attended day 2, I will say that all of that was related to suspension. And I am not even close. Like you couldn't, I would kill myself. It would be a danger for me, you, and everybody as I fall to the ground. I mean, it's because even doing the harnesses, because the classes were pretty big, even doing the harnesses, I don't know enough of the ties to do the harnesses. So I would start it, I would get to a point, and then I'd have to stop because I couldn't visually see what they were tying. And I saw they did a good job of walking over different places. They tried very hard, but I'm so beginners that what I need to do is 6 101 classes. That's what I need to do.
And they offer them monthly. They offer the 101 classes monthly, but it is on a weeknight, and it's a drive for some people. So
That was the biggest thing.
Some Saturdays they also have rope boot camps before their like designated monthly classes, and I've been to a boot camp and I thought it was really good. You've been in the Kingtasia one. I'm sure it's similar to that.
It is.
It may be the same setup, I don't know, but I really enjoyed the boot camp after the 101.
Right. Yeah, the boot camp at Kingtasia was good. There was a lot of people. They sold out. They had more people than what they anticipated. But the good thing about the Kingtasia is they had 2 or 3. Snap Ginger had 2 or 3 other volunteers that was able to spread out.
Yeah.
So it wasn't more 1 against 30.
Well, the
so they were
AFK,
able to.
all of their classes sold out too. Like it was a really good turnout for the first.
it was their
event.
first one.
It was
I
their
think it
first
went
one
really
ever.
well.
It
for
went
being their
really
first,
well.
Yeah.
Yes, they had amazing presenters.
Yes.
So
And everything seemed to go so smoothly
Yes.
too. And I'm sure that was from our perspective of how things were going.
Right.
I'm sure they hit snags behind the scenes. And that's just to say that
Yeah.
they really
Recovered.
had every,
They handled
thing
it
go.
well.
It went all so
Yes.
smoothly.
So
Yep.
Snap Ginger started it on Saturday morning with kind of like a yoga. It was
a movement.
movement with for self tires, and basically it was feeling your body.
Mhm.
It was stretching your body. It was moving and making sure that your hips and your back, she had us do different positions. And it really helped for you to link up with your body. Because a lot of
Yes.
times our body just does what it's supposed to do, and we never actually breathe and pay attention to each of the movements and how things are done.
Or things go how they're not supposed to, and you hold tension in places that you don't even realize because we get disconnected from our body.
We do. It's crazy. And I used to do a thing every night in order to go to sleep where I tighten up and relax each of the body parts.
I used to do that.
Right, because I couldn't just fall asleep. I
Yep.
needed something to trigger it. I'm older now. I fall into bed. I'm like, I left last night going, I'm going to bed. Bye.
Good night.
So she did that, and it was a good warm up. It was about an hour, and truly, or 45 minutes, and I truly enjoyed having that yoga driven body movements, loosening up and getting warmed up for the day, because it was a day.
And I enjoyed watching.
Yeah, because
So
we were
what
on
did
our
you
hands
participate in?
and-
Did you just audit the whole thing?
I audited.
So
I
he should
kicked
be able to
back.
do the
I
whole
relaxed.
podcast. He should be able to talk about it since he was an outside influence just watching.
I
Oh,
was.
so napping is not what you're supposed to be doing right
Well,
now.
there was one time my lady Kay got up to stretch, and she was scratching my back. And needless to say, my eyes did close. And some people even thought I went into subspace because it felt so fucking good. And I don't know how long it lasted, but I knew I had to focus on staying awake, or else I would fall out of the chair, and it could have been bad.
So the only other situation that is outside of the whole class is that I had a problem with water bottles. I knocked them,
God, she
fell
just,
over.
If there was a
I
water
broke
bottle,
his.
if there was a water bottle close to her, she was knocking it over.
I mean, I was like, can we stop making noises, please? Like
And
the
these are
metal
the stainless
ones. Like,
steel water bottles.
Planking on the concrete floor.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad. So then after we did the warm up, they did the panel where every one of the presenters,
They served breakfast too.
they served breakfast. They did.
I was there for the food.
I
Did you
did not
audit the
eat.
food?
The food was delicious.
He audited the food.
I sampled everything.
And Snap Ginger was like, please, 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 please take it. We do not
Yeah.
need to bring all this food home.
Yeah.
We
Now,
don't need it.
I went up there the first time and I just got
First
like a
time.
couple of things. I was going to be respectful, but then when they kept saying please, 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 for every please was another plate. So food was on spot.
You
It
said
was
as
great.
you wish.
Yes, as you wish.
So they did a panel where they answered questions. And some of the questions obviously were like, why do you self-tie? Because it's kink on demand, self-care, and then a feedback loop. So that was an interesting one, because when you tie, you're feeling it, you can adjust it, you can learn more about your rope than if you're tying on another person.
Oh my God. I just learned a new tie. A lot of people in LNK call it a dragon back, but it's basically just a thigh cage or a thigh harness. It's the more generic name for it. And every step of the way, I was like, oh my God, this is so tight. It has to be that tight because it's suspension worthy.
Okay.
But if I'm tying it on somebody else, maybe it would just be like, oh, I'm having a hard time getting the hitches through, like pulling my running ends of the rope through the bands that I've created. But tying it on myself, I'm like, oh my God, this is so tight.
And it's that loop, the
Yes,
feedback loop.
yep.
Yes.
So, and if you didn't know that and you're tying it on somebody else to suspend them, now you might be like, oh, I don't want to hurt them, but you have to have it tied that tight. So you're getting the instant feedback
Yep.
on what you're doing. So I thought that was,
My favorite answer on that was kink on demand, because they was like,
that was mine.
That way we don't have to rely on somebody else,
Credit to
come
Lilith.
there, right?
Yeah.
To come there to do it. But
So that's why I started self-tying.
Right.
My therapist, I love her. We were talking. No, my therapist is so kink friendly. I tell her about everything I do.
Well, I was
Literally
gonna say,
everything.
one of the things that we really want to do, I've always wanted to do, is interview somebody who is a therapist.
I'll ask her.
That
No, I'm just
deals
kidding.
with the kink community,
Yes.
because there's a lot of traumas and there's a lot of different things in there. The feedback you could get from somebody who
Right.
is, can analyze that would be
every week.
amazing, because
Every
we
week.
live in a world, right?
Yeah, my therapist and I talk. But this was like 2 years ago when I was first getting into rope. I think it was about 2 years ago. And I was just telling, oh my gosh, it's so hard for me to find, riggers that I really want to tie with, that I feel safe with. And as much as they might be qualified, maybe I'm not safe with them. And I don't tie with very many men and this and that. And she, suggested, well, why don't you tie yourself, or why don't you pick up macrame or something that's similar? And I was like, I really don't want to. And I ended up sucking it up and putting a mirror up next to a YouTube tutorial. And I self-tied my first hip harness and went, oh my God,
I just figured
I
out
did this.
Yes.
Like, I made this, I created this, and it was a weave hip harness, and it was so pretty. And I just couldn't believe that I had the skill, after 6 101s, that I had the skills to complete a tie. I thought I only took 101, maybe I don't know that much. And it was very accomplishing to be able to not rely on somebody else to fulfill something that I wanted to do. I want to do this.
Well, that was one of the things that I learned, what little bit I learned at Boot Camp 101. And it wasn't the instructor's fault. I only wanted to learn what I wanted to learn. And I learned the first 2 knots, and I let them continue on with class. And I sit in a corner and done those 2 knots.
But even with those 2 knots, you
can do so much. That's what I learned.
Yes.
You learn 2 to 3 of the knots. You can do practically anything. You can do your harnesses. You can do your leg wraps. You can start to do a suspension with 2 or 3 knots. It's just learning those,
Suspend
understanding
on a
those.
single column.
Yeah,
Right.
you can suspend on a single column.
So
it
it's-
sucks.
it's
I do
not
not
as-
recommend it.
It's not as
horrible.
complicated as everybody originally thinks when you think,
Because you're
this is
thinking
a lot to do.
shibari and the very elaborate.
Right.
Which, I mean, it can be
But even-
complicated,
yes.
but it's, if you know the basics, it's just finding the patterns and doing them.
Right. And that's the good thing about rope. So
Okay, so they did the panel where questions were asked that were not necessarily how do I, or it was more like trying to get feedback and, I don't know, confirmation of the reasons you do it. Why are we doing this? And how do you interact when you're maybe queer, or how you, it was a very interesting panel, and it was interesting because you had them all sitting together and were able to ask a question and multiple people would answer, and the answers may be totally different.
yep, it was from their perspective. So a lot of it was getting to know the instructors. What questions do you have? And ask 2 or 3 different instructors, or single one out on their own. But yeah, it was getting their perspective and their opinion and their professional advice on any questions that they had. I thought
Safety
it
was
real
one
good.
of them that
Safety
came up.
was huge. Yes.
Safety is so big.
They were talking about how I took this one thing, that safety is what is currently trending. So they said that what may be safe is not actually the biggest concern right now, because it trends based on current feelings. So most of them said, like, hey, I know my own risk profile, so I tell you don't do this, but I'm going to do it. So they said it's not necessarily this is safe, because none of it's safe. You're tying yourself up with rope for the purpose of suspending or, leading.
And do you know that rope actually started as a war torture method?
Yes,
Yes.
I did.
We did a podcast.
That was one of the things that
Yeah.
I learned.
And
when we done it.
suspension is a newer thing. Rope before was mostly floor rope, and
Yes.
suspension is because, I don't know how to say this nicely, but suspension is because some riggers and rope tops had an ego and they wanted to do flashier things,
Right.
and hence suspension was born. So there's no safe rope. There's high risk and there's low risk, and we
Right.
want to be as lower risk as possible. And as you gain more experience and more knowledge, and you know how your body works and how rope works, you can take higher risk if you choose to.
Yes.
But that's what you were saying about a risk profile. There's no safe rope. There's
Right.
safer
There's-
rope. There's lower risk rope.
Exactly.
But all rope and all kink is risky.
Yep.
Well, as you know, me and Zora had a discussion about how we could be idiots when it comes to kink. I was like, the choices we make sometimes are really, really stupid. And we made some really dumb ones. So, yes, it's risky. You have to just decide where your safe bounds are. If I'm getting hit with a vampire paddle that I know is going to make me bleed, how safe am I? You have to decide that. So after that was done, then Captain Leviathan came on and started going back to the basics. So this is where I was like, woohoo!
Yeah, they done intro to rope for self-tires.
Yes. So they were dealing with 3 main ties and discussion on self-tying. So this is where, this is what they put the Lark's Head, the Somerville bowline single column. And they did explain there's another single column, right? That not
a square knot, single column.
Right.
Yes.
Again, and then what's the
Agura.
Agura. It's you. Okay, so it's an agura, and then how to add rope, which we did learn in the class, and I had to do that because we were out of rope, and I was like, oh, okay, I can do that. And a double half hitch lock off. So when you're hearing all the terms, you're thinking, oh my
shit.
God.
I think, oh shit, is what I think.
But once you start actually
But once
seeing
you know what they are,
Right.
it's really so simple.
Right.
You
It
just need all the
is.
building blocks. And building blocks can be very overwhelming if you've never heard of these things and you've never seen or touched the building blocks. But once you start adding them to your toolbox, they become second nature. And the more that you have on hand, the more you can do.
Right.
Right.
Right. And the goal is to do more. You're not just trying to do a single column and
Forever.
okay, we're done.
Yeah.
I'm done now. Thank
What do you
you.
do from here? Right.
So Captain Leviathan did a really great job when they were up there showing everybody. The problem was there was so much noise there and the fans, and Captain Leviathan has a very quiet, demure voice. That's just the way it is. And so thankfully they came out into the audience and was sitting next to people and making sure that they could tie. So I'm glad we got to review this, because even this, I had to look to Milady K, who was next to me, and say, show me. Now, problem is me and Milady K tie different.
Yes.
She ties with the opposite hand of the way I tie. So I'm always holding with my right and using my left to finish, or I'm holding with my left and using my right to finish the tie. She did it opposite, which made it like nearly, I kept looking, she's like, you're doing it wrong. No, I'm not.
It's
It's the way I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Like
And I think that that is too, when you're still beginning and you're still learning rope, it's recommended to always do something the same exact way so that it becomes second nature, because you're still learning every single step of the
Right.
thing that you're learning.
Yes.
And that for me was a big deal. It was like, oh my God, single columns or double columns or whatever. And now that I'm a couple years in, it's like, once you know the building blocks of the tie or the building blocks of the knot that you're trying to accomplish, you get it based on concept, not based on steps.
okay.
So then a
Yes.
single column becomes, this is a concept of which direction things are going. They can go either direction, but it's on the concept and you have that down.
Right.
Versus it was going this direction last time and now it's going this direction this time and I don't know what to do anymore.
Because
So
it is the opposite.
Yep.
And but there's also, your body naturally does it one way or another. Meaning when you're doing your first tie, you will either hold with the right or the left,
yes.
and it is a
right.
natural.
Well, it's like watching a left-handed person do something for
Yes.
a right-handed person.
Oh, my son is left-handed.
And you get that different
Yeah.
concept. They're going to do it just a little bit backwards way of the way the other person
It's
will.
the same way when you're self-tying versus tying on somebody else.
Yes.
It's opposite, and it's crazy. Like, I can do a single column all day. You ask me to do it on someone else, I'm like,
Do you want to tie other people?
Yeah. I'll
you have.
Yeah, I've tied a few. I really am just building my skill And I went to, like you said, you get that feedback instantly on your body.
Right.
And a lot of people, I feel like, start the opposite and tie other people. I've found self-tying has been way easier for me to do and like pick up on versus like,
Well, because I can practice and look like an idiot without impacting somebody else's night, or you know, like I can do it myself and go, oh, well, that didn't work. Like the whole thing fell apart before I got it done. Let's try it again. But if I'm working on somebody, they're waiting for me to do something.
yes.
Now, Master Nick,
Yes.
we have pictures where you were tying. You had found some videos and you were tying my hands.
Mm-hmm.
And he had done a tie that stopped. It didn't put any pressure on
It was basically I could tie her hands anywhere I wanted to, and no matter how hard she pulled or fought, it didn't put pressure on her hands.
Mm-hmm.
It was the way the wraps were made and the knot was made.
and it was very decorative.
It was
Yeah.
very decorative.
This
it was
was
very
years
pretty.
ago.
Those are called non-collapsible ties when we want we want rope to collapse on itself and not on the limb or the
Right.
body part that it's on.
But
They're
the way it was
non-collapsible
wrapped,
ties.
she could jerk and pull, and it didn't put anything on her wrist, on her
Exactly.
hand, and it was
and
it
it
was a
evenly
very nice-
distributed the tension through my whole hand, so it never pulled on anything. And but the thing is, to do it took us a long.
Yeah, it was one of them things where
I'm like,
we're in
let's
the
just
mood.
get to it.
Right, we're in the mood. We're ready to get busy. Hold on, let me do this. And like 35 minutes later, okay,
He's
here
like,
it is.
okay, I
And you're like,
messed up.
no,
Let me back that out. And I'm like,
That's where you have to get a little good at rope if you want to do it and still be sexy while you're doing it. I've tied Lilith up with single columns on each of her ankles and then ran it through my headboard so that the running ends were in the air and she could hold on to them while somebody was fucking her.
ooh, so you could lift it.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, it was
And
your own personal,
yeah.
like, hey,
Yeah.
let me get.
You've
But you
tied
gotta do
people
it
to
quick
benches
if you want it to be
before.
sexy.
Yeah, but again,
Right.
it's those basic concepts and building blocks. If you know a single column, you can do so much with it and be quick with it like that.
Yep.
So that was Captain Leviathan. They did a great job of just reconfirming, because this is a 2-day. It's a 3-day summit, but the first day was performances and play. So the 2 days of courses for Captain Leviathan to come on and do the basics.
Yeah.
So it was wonderful that they reviewed that, because if not, I might as well have just left.
Well, and it fit for most
It was
everybody
supposed
that
to be
was
beginner
there.
friendly, right?
Most everybody was there. You could see they were trying to pay attention. It wasn't like they were there and knew what they were doing. So the whole classroom,
I think it was a 50-50.
the whole classroom itself was there and was
How many
paying
people
attention.
did you recognize from there? Did you
There
recognize?
were some people from out of town, but other than that, we knew a lot of the people that went, and we didn't go to the more beginner ones. So it was other people. Don't roll your eyes at me. I'll get you in trouble. So when we were going to the more intermediate or advanced classes, there were other people that we recognized that were also there along in their journey too.
Perfect. So the next one, were you there with The Floor Is Not Lava with Air?
I was.
Okay.
Mika was not.
I'm so glad I was not, and I knew that I wouldn't enjoy it. I'm very not creative with rope, and Lilith is. So we talked about it beforehand, and I said, I don't want to go. It seems like it's a very creative-based class. And I showed up for the next class after that, and she said to me, you would have hated the last class. It was very creative.
Because it was some kind of free tying.
Yes,
it
and
was a
you
lot
loved
of
it,
free
yeah.
space.
But I feel like that goes back to top headspace. Like,
and I'm not. I want a very structured tie. I
Exactly.
want something from beginning to end because it feels like a task
Yes.
that I can complete and then I feel accomplished instead of making shit up on the fly.
I think that's the reason that, you talked about being autistic. It's the same thing you did.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. It's the puzzles upstairs and the Legos, because he will sit down, my son will sit down with a Lego kit that is supposed to take however many hours, and he will sit there humming for the next 2-3 hours, and he will not stop until
Till it's
that
done.
project is done. And then he brings it down and he gets, wow, that's really good. Amazing. You did that in like half the time you're supposed to do it. So there's, this goal and accomplishment. So Well, it was a self-tying exploration for anyone who's not quite ready for suspension or partner tying. And I think that Air is a very quirky,
Yeah.
fun individual.
Yes.
There's a bit of conversation went on about a traumatic brain injury and not remembering all of their words. And we read the bios in the original, but they did a great job of free tying. It was a good show. I enjoyed it. One of the things that they said that I really resonated with was, I'm a different rigger than I am a bottom. And so the headspace for those two things are totally different. And that just because I'm bottoming for you, I may not be the right bottom for you. Like, you're thinking rope, I'm just tying rope. But sometimes the bottom of the rope requires different types of interactions. And the way they explained it is their top before, that when they were a bottom, their top before wanted it to be serious and wanted it to be structured, and they just felt like, what brings me joy is mistakes and chaos and learning from those and being able to still tie and get the job done. Did you agree with that?
Yes, I loved their approach to rope because I think it's so not necessarily different, but I like seeing that creativity. I like seeing that, again, rope is for everybody. You can do rope however you want within your risk profile and everything. And you could see that in their performance as well. Like, the way that they taught was the way they performed. And it was, it was a great, beautiful thing how they did it. And
I love that they tied their hand over their face. Like, that to me is as a blindfold or.
Yes. But they were still very, like, safe conscious. Like, this is rope that can harm you. Is it within your risk profile, whatever? And they would always make the statement, always use a quote unquote spotter because they're inexperienced. But like, I've enjoyed that class a lot.
And during the class, they said, if I'm not comfortable with something you're doing, I'll ask you to stop. And they said that each of the classes that they teach, that's one of the things they say, because it may not be, you might be comfortable with it, but if they aren't.
Or you might not even know how risky it is if somebody's doing something way above their skill level and they don't realize it because they don't have that knowledge yet. They might not realize how risky it is. And sometimes you need somebody to come along and say, hey, hold on a second. This is super risky. Did you know that? Do you know why? And I'm not comfortable with you continuing because you can get very hurt.
Right.
Yes.
Now, wasn't this also the class that Air talked about cutting rope off of you?
Oh my gosh. I could not.
Was this that? And I thought, when they first said it, I thought, what the hell are they talking about?
But my rope is expensive.
So if you are
keep
tied,
safety shears.
you are tied, how does your body react when you cut that rope? So getting comfortable cutting your rope,
because you don't even know how much it takes to cut the rope.
Versus needing to cut it
Yeah.
off quickly and not being comfortable or not knowing how your body reacts. So I thought that was a very good point. Find some old rope, find some that you don't like no more, you don't use no more, or just buy cheap rope from Home Depot or Lowe's and practice cutting it off to see how your body reacts, see how your joints move, see what happens when you do it. That way, when you are in a position that you have to cut it, you are now comfortable. You're more aware of
You're
what's
not going to
happen.
pause and hesitate because it's your rope.
It's a muscle memory, like it's just know how to do it.
Yep. So I thought that was I was awake for that.
I was going to say, Master Nick,
I was
Air
awake
should
for that.
be very.
They should be very privileged because I did. They caught my attention and I did pay attention during their class, which is why that part stuck out. And it made sense. It was I never thought
I
of
would
that
have
neither.
never thought of it, and when they said it, it literally resonated, and I went, "Oh, That makes sense because right now my first thought is, no, I don't want to cut my rope.
Or it's
Right.
what the fuck am I doing? How do I do this?
Right. How do I get underneath to cut it? Because, you know,
Am I
there's
gonna cut
special
myself?
shears that I bought the shears because again,
This is why you don't tie with anybody who thinks that a pocket knife is sufficient
God,
as a safety
That would be me.
tool cutter.
I've always got my pocket knife, and that's the first thing I'm going for. No, I'm just kidding. I know better than that. All right, we're going to take a pause right there. We're going to end this episode because there is a lot to talk about. We still got quite a bit more. So come back next week for the remainder of the AFK Self-Tying Summit.
thank you for joining us. Please follow, like, and share our podcast.
Make sure to visit thedomlife.com where you can find pictures and other details about the Dom Life podcast. And through the Contact Us button, you can ask questions or provide recommendations for future episodes.
We want to explore your kink too.
Be sure to check out upcoming events to see where our adventures are taking us and our photo gallery to where we've been.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you had fun listening and learning with us.
Till next time, keep calm and remember your safe word.
Red, red, red.